Hey dudes, we are inside the castle walls of my Minecraft kingdom on Infinite Heights, and today we're going to be working on part 2 of my Iron Golem Priory, the main building. It's coming up right now. Hello, 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 how you guys doing? We have an awesome episode coming for you today. To the left, we saw Castle Valor as we gain our bearings here in my kingdom on Infinite Heights. You can see I've completed in the meantime the second tower, the one on the right as you're facing out from the castle. I've also taken just a couple of minutes to lay out the support post positions for the upcoming build, so let's get to it. And here we can see I'm just kind of laying out where I think the foundations are going to be, and I end up switching them up a little bit. I laid them out somewhat similarly to what I did for the towers. I started with a single row of cobble, then I went with a row of double smooth stone half slabs. But the double half slabs did not work out. I just looked up at the camera to munch some steak there. Didn't show the animation, but I ate it, I promise. Anyway, you know, when I did this, it looked a little thin and it was too much iron, so I actually went back a little bit later and I did change it out. But you can see there's some posts hanging out in the back that aren't incorporated immediately into the foundation, and here I come back in with some double slabs. Now you can start to see what the outline looks like. It's thin towards where it connects to the towers, and it gets gradually thicker as we approach the center point where the iron is actually harvested. And I'm just kind of, I did some measuring, and I measured how high the surface of the towers are, like the area where you're able to actually walk on, I guess the deck we'll call it. And I planned out for that to actually be the second story of the Priory's main building. And so I'm just throwing posts up to the height of the floor of the first floor, and I'm just kind of going through here. I'm telling you, stacks and stacks and stacks of logs, you guys. Seriously, I was like, so many logs. Oh my god! I don't know why I started talking like that. A little LSP on the brain, I guess. Anyway, so I'm just kind of doing my thing, starting to frame out the floor. Obviously, it starts to rain, and I was in TeamSpeak at the time with good guy Mike, Exempt Gamer, one of the admins on Infinite Heights, and I was like, I can't believe I'm doing a Let's Build. Every time I do a Let's Build, it starts raining, and he was like, there shall be sun, and he gave sun unto me, and it was good. I think it would be cool, though, if they were like 3-minute long rainstorms. And who's that? Was that Discoveries? Good guy Disc popping in and say hey. I think Exempt was also floating around, say hey while I was building. Adrian was around too. He was, he was just, I think he was vanished. I think he was in vanish mode at this time. And I'm just finishing up the top of the rafters that make the floor of the first floor here. And here we can see I am starting to bring the walls of the second story, or actually it's the walls of the first story that lead up and are the supports for the second story. That was a little bit higher. And then this is fun. I don't know if I actually caught it while I was building, but I don't think I did. But after after I went through this pass of supports, good guy Disc was still hovering around me, And I'm picking them up 4 blocks so that each floor is actually 3.5 blocks, floor to ceiling. Good guy Disc comes in, and he was actually making some of them 5 tall and sneaking and hiding behind them so I couldn't see him. And I was just like, I was losing my mind, and I appreciate it, Disc. Thanks, buddy. But anyway, here you can see I got rid of the stone, the double slabs, and I actually built up the stone foundations a little bit. Did some cracked stone brick in there, and some cobblestone. Just kind of make it look cool, kind of randomize that a little bit. And then I decided that on the first floor is where we would start. Where we would start the double slabs. Now in the front, where I am now, the front of the priory, that's actually only 3 blocks above ground level, but the back, it's like 7 blocks from ground level. So there's a bit of a pier-like projection kind of thing. And you can see how there are posts in the back where I am now that are not, again, they're still not within the frame or within the outline. And that's going to be a nice observation deck with a nice view. But we'll take a look at that when we're actually walking around and checking it out later. So here I am just throwing up the walls for the first floor. And this directly mimics the palette and the progression of blocks that we have already established in the 2 side towers. The 2 towers. Not quite that epic. Not yet. Not yet. So I'm throwing in the cross members here. And misplacing blocks and breaking them and going down and gathering them. Stacks and stacks of logs, you guys. Holy cow. So many logs. And it's nighttime. And I'm starting to build up the walls for the second floor. And you can see already as we kind of start to pan to the left here, you can start to see already that the ceiling of the first floor, which is the floor of the second floor, obviously. There we go. You can see it better now. That is flush. Flush with the top. So we snug that in there nicely. It's looking a little flat and a little bare on the outside, but we'll adjust that later, I promise. And we're starting to throw up the walls here of the second floor. And this is the last floor that directly follows the initial foundation we set. I threw a little wall up there all the way over on the right. No idea why. That's not there anymore. That's gone. And again, that is the last floor that actually mimics or follows along the pattern that we set out for the foundation. Now, what's actually happening here is there's a brutal thunderstorm. You see the lightning crashing over just behind me in the admin shops. But as you can see here, we're not only getting wider as we approach the middle from the towers on the sides, we're also getting slightly taller. We're moving up a floor. So as we move towards the center of the Priory's main building, again, we not only get wider from the narrow sides, we actually get taller as we go in. So when I bring it into the first horizontal bump out, where it starts to get wider, I also pick it up a story, where on the second floor I don't actually increase the height of the building anymore. And so I am laying in the timber framing for and misplacing more blocks. It was a tough day. You have good days, you have bad days. This was just a day where I could not. I feel like I was like 40% block accuracy in terms of placing them. But I'm laying in the timber framing for the ceiling of, I don't know what the floor is. That's now third floor. And floor of the fourth floor, I think. We're moving up. Tall building. It's a tall building. Almost taller than the admin shops at this point. What a pretty sunrise. One of the things I was thinking about, and this is something that I like to do, that I think it helps me add some types of details. I actually, before I get into that, I want to just mention quickly that I ended up changing how some of these supports were spaced later on. So I actually destroyed them and rebuilt them. And this is, I think, my second pass here to make them more evenly spaced. And that'll become evident later. But I do like to create somewhat of a backstory. Yeah, here it is, actually. That bit I just built was destroyed, and this is me rebuilding it. Yeah, the spacing was weird, and you'll see again why the spacing needed to be different. Misplaced block. I do like to create somewhat of a backstory, and that's something that I can refer to when I have decisions that I need to make that I'm not 100% sure of, and it adds a sense of consistency, and from that consistency, I think people that experience my builds, if you're actually on the server walking around, you start to notice a different level of realism, or that theme that kind of flows through everything does add consistency, and that just kind of helps you kind of sink into a greater sense of environment there. So I'm just destroying some cross members here to open up the middle into a nice plus shape, so we can see all the way up to the top. Just throwing some iron blocks down there for measuring purposes. You can see me offsetting pillars here to make sure that we are actually set up nicely in the top. And basically, we're getting down to it here. But in a lot of cultures, there are religious buildings that are built first, and then the other buildings of that culture are built referencing that style slightly. So I thought to myself, why don't we set precedent for a lot of styles, or make it look like that with the priory, and then the rest of the kingdom can kind of draw style cues from that. So let's take a look. And as the sun rises on my Kingdom of Infinite Heights, check out Castle Valor up at the top there. We have the admin shops here, obviously, but imagine waking up in the morning to see this. Ba-bow! The Iron Golem Priory. And I keep using the term Priory because I believe Priory most accurately describes what it is we are talking about here. But monastery is a similar term, a synonym. It's just slightly different. Anyway, I'm not sure that's important. What is important is, freaking look at this thing. It's awesome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stories. That's pretty sweet. I think that's the most floors. I don't think it's the tallest thing I've made, but I mean, the cathedral's huge, but you guys haven't really seen that yet, have you? Yeah, another episode. Anyway, yeah, 5 floors. So, what do we need to see here? Well, you know, obviously you didn't see me put floors in. I didn't put floors in because this episode was getting long enough just seeing just half of the work that I was doing here. So I thought it was a good spot to stop. Let me take you inside. Check this out. So I just kind of stacked this right over. Obviously right over my iron golemizer, which is cool. But basically what we're doing here is, okay, so this is, we are now standing on the first floor. First floor is this. You can hear him over there. So this is the first floor. And the first floor, it is what it is, okay? It does not connect over here, up there, okay? So it is the first floor. This stuff under here, this place is so huge, I don't think that I will need to actually expand it at all. I don't know that we'll need to finish this down here for like functional reasons, but in the, you know, and I guess in the spirit of creating functional and highly detailed builds, which is what I like to think I do, we are going to finish this in here. But that's obviously not going to be any more this episode, because this episode ran long enough. Like I said before. So, yeah, so we are going to finish this off somehow. I'm not 100% sure exactly what form that's going to take down there, though this would be a cool mansion type thing also. But, so that's the first floor. And then here on the second floor is where stuff gets a little bit more interesting. Now, from up here, you can tell we're missing this cross member here. Okay, like this one right here, but right here instead, and that's not there. And so this creates, actually, when the floor goes in down there to make more sense, but it creates an open plus shape in the middle. that will allow us to just kind of gaze up in wild wonder at whatever I choose to dangle from there. Now, I have no idea what that's going to be yet. I thought maybe something on fire would be cool, because honestly, something on fire is always cool. Maybe some kind of bell that we can pretend is ceremonial in some regard. I'm not 100% sure, but it's going to be awesome. It's going to be freaking hanging from right there, and we'll be able to see it from basically anywhere on any of the floors. We'll be able to walk towards the middle here. There'll be balconies around here for us to stand on and gaze in wild wonder at that magnificence. So, I don't know. Any ideas? I'm taking ideas for what should be dangling from there. Maybe me? Should it be me dangling from there? But anyway, so back to the second story. This is why the second story gets cool. Check this out. This is sweet. This is so cool, you guys. We're eventually obviously not going to have to parkour our way, but what you will notice over here... Actually, let me just float on over to this side, because I already broke through over on this side. But check this out. Look at this. Bloop. Pew! And we are on the same level. So the second story in here is on level with the surface of these, which is awesome. So, you know, we got that going for us, which is nice. No, you know, because we knew what we were doing. That's why we did it like this, you know. We did have a plan, and the plan allowed us to build this up, nail this floor height right here, and just have this flush, and I think that's cool. So there's going to be a cool doorway here, a little roof overhang to kind of talk to this language here. But what is also cool about the second floor out in the back here, check this out. What in the world? You saw me building this before. It maybe didn't make so much sense at the time, but we are going to have a deck. Now, if you gaze upon this solid stone wonder, this is just an island that's out in the middle off the coast of my base. I have plans for this, as I often have plans for. I have plans for most of the stuff around here. But I have plans for this, and this is going to be a sight to behold. And this will be a nice kind of contemplative spot. I'm sorry I keep falling. I'm terrible right now. I don't use fly very often, and I've been using it even less lately. Anyway, so I mean, this will be a nice view from here, and then this is just to support the overhang for the little deck, and there's a deck on each side, which is sweet. So what are we going to be working on for next episode? We're going to have roofs here. There's going to be roof there, roof here, roof, unless a deck here is cool to look on top of this roof and over there and over there. That may be cool. Maybe a deck around it. We're going to have to mess around with that. That's going to be next episode. This is going to be a roof for sure. We're going to have another nice, smooth, domed roof a la this style right here. And that's going to polish that off nicely. So the roofs are going to go in. Floors are going to go in. And, oh, and we saw it back here. Let me just fly back here. You know how we finish up the windows and stuff, but we have this floor and this floor and this floor and this floor looking very similar. So we're going to have to come up with slightly different ways to keep them in the same style, but make them look unique so we don't just have the same thing stacked on top of itself. We got to do this. We got to do this treatment to tie it in with the rest of the builds in the area, in my little kingdom inside the walls here. And the last thing that I saw that I wanted to work on, and more stuff may pop up, but for right now, when we look at this... Okay, when you look at these, which are, you know, honestly, they're sweet. I know they are. I'm kidding. I really do enjoy how these came out. But one of the things about them is that, like, from here, there's, like, iron and some stone brick, and that kind of ties in. But there's so little... What we're talking about is, like, the balance of the blocks in the palette, and there's so little spruce logs visible from the outside. Now, if we're on the inside, makes total sense. This makes total sense. When we look, you know, when we have that out there and then we look up here, we get it, right? It makes sense, but we need that to be carried outside. So one of the things I thought to do was I'm going to swap these boys out, these corner pieces here. I'm going to swap these out. I'm going to throw a log in there. I'm going to run that beam straight across there, over in that direction thusly. And I was thinking about maybe straight up the middle here in like a plus shape to run through the floor. Don't know. We're going to have to test that out, but we definitely need to bring more log in here. And then I was thinking, so the log will come up to here, just like this is. We're going to have a post sticking out here and a post sticking out here. And then maybe do like double log thickness right in there, kind of widen that up a little bit and add a little bit more of that dark brown log color to that. What do you think? Are we onto something here? I think we're kind of onto something. I'm really enjoying how this is turning out. This is turning into like a massive kind of fortress type thing in and of itself with these awesome arms on the sides. I don't know. I'm pretty much digging this. I am pretty. I can see. Don't look too hard. But there's 2 flaws I can see from here on this one that this one doesn't have. Anyway. That is it for this episode. I truly hope you dudes enjoyed watching. I do truly appreciate every single like, comment, view, and sub. Definitely let me know where else we should be taking this if you have any ideas. Check out my YouTube channel for other Let's Builds. I got some Let's Plays in there. Join me, my builds, and the cool dudes on the Infinite Heights server at playinfiniteheightsmc.com. You just jump right in. Just play.infiniteheightsmc.com. You can actually come here and walk around here. You can see it for yourself. I will be here working on it. You can definitely come by and check it out, and I urge you to, because the dudes in this community are awesome. Anyway, as for this episode, that is it, dudes. Again, thank you so much for watching. I do truly appreciate it. It's TheeRealDuke, and I'm out.